one can say that each of the girls, each of the women, I'm sorry, the women now, have experienced double tragedy. You see, I mean, so here's the tragedy of your father being taken from you as an adolescent, and then as adult women, your mother. And it was not, and in terms of Malcolm's, causing the fire, that is traumatic in itself. Okay, and there's a certain amount of denial around that within the context of the family that I'm aware of. But what was really, really very difficult for all of them, and even myself, to deal with, was to see the mother in the condition after the fire, and then how she just tried to hold on to life. You see, and then basically stating in no uncertain terms that it was not the grandson's fault. I think for the grandson, I feel that the greatest problem for him was that he didn't have a father. At least the daughters understood the greatness of their father and what he had contributed to us as a people, and what he had contributed to making America a better country. All right? And the same with the King's children. But for Malcolm, the grandson, he was not aware of the greatness of his father until he got to prison. And that's interesting because, and I read about this a lot in my work, that often black men have no sense of who they are any sense of their own history until they arrive in a place where they're incarcerated. So Malcolm found himself in prison, and of course his grandson finds himself in prison. You see. Yeah. When the death of his grandmother occurred, he was only 13 years old, 23 now. And so he's still a very, very young man, and in many cases still in the developmental areas of life. And his mother was not able to take care of him. She was not able to not only able to take care of him, but not able to protect him, and not able to really allow him to encourage him, to nurture him to grow into what we all have done and continue to do with our own children. But this whole question of him, the way, talking about being bipolar and crazy, I'm not buying into that. I think that he's confused. I think he's insecure. I think he's unsure of himself. I think he's very angry. But that's describing most of the young black men in this community. And so young Malcolm is not unlike any of them. The major difference is that he was just shipped around so much, different, from the West Coast to the East Coast, Midwest, and so forth. And with a mother who was not capable of raising a child. And it's very clear that she was just not capable of doing that. And so I think it would be incorrect for us to begin to blame him for his actions. These are reactions more than anything. These are unthought actions. They're reactions to his circumstances, to his upbringing. He was not nurtured in a way, in a prolonged way. I mean, and you talk about the confusion, living with the white woman, his teacher, and basically loving that. And she probably was a very nurturing person, no doubt about that. And then, of course, one of his aunts coming and taking away from that, and he thought he was going back, but he didn't go back. But for him, that period, maybe a semester or so that he lived with this woman, that was the first time he felt that he had a home, a loving, nurturing home. But it was in a whole other culture, another race. You see, so it adds to the confusion. And I think that what men do, what conscientious men do, for us, children are not an accident. Children, for us, are not illegitimate. Children, for us, are the reason, one of the reasons that we're here, to make this world a much better place. We make these type of commitments. That's what we do as men. That's what men do. Okay? And obviously women do, but women are kind of tied because the children come out of them. But for the men, culturally and biologically, we got to attach ourselves to our wives and to our children in ways in which often we're not taught. Okay? He never had that. You see. And we cannot expect him to be another Malcolm. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I think now we need, I think that what we need to do with young Malcolm is that he needs to really be around some men who love him and care for him. And he needs to be encouraged to really get back in school, okay, in a protective way. But he can't do this on his own. He got to be in a family of men who will say, okay, this has become part of my mission, and who understand how to do this. See, my position always has been, I felt that Biggie and Tupac would still be alive if they had conscientious, serious men in their lives. I write about that in Tough Notes. I feel that fathers, we know how to maneuver out here and how to deal with these Neanderthals who run this country. You see? And the Negroes who are their surrogates, you see, who run our community. And until you have conscientious African American brothers and sisters, obviously, but men who are willing to take that extra step and say, okay, come here, son. You say, come here, son, sit down, I want to talk to you. I mean, just call him a son rather than just saying Malcolm. You change the conversation. Okay, that here, this is what we can do. And this is what I'm willing to do in order to make this happen with you.